Hi, good morning. I actually just woke up and felt like doing a reading. Thanks for sticking with me. It's been a while. I missed you guys. I have been pretty busy looking for a job, actually. So, and anyone who knows what that's like knows that it's a full-time job. So, I haven't had as much time to do these, and I don't know how much I will have time to do these going forward, but I also want to say that if you do want private readings, you're welcome to reach out to me. I'll put my email address below in the details, in the expanded details as well. So if anyone's looking for a private reading or, brainstorming idea type things, to contact me and can try to fit that in a different way. So in any case, I hope you all have been doing well. I thought I would do a sort of creative reading, love reading, send-off kind of thing, or at least to hold you guys over while I figure out my schedule going forward. So anyways, I just thought we'd see how this goes and pull some cards like before and just talk about their meanings and just see where it leads. I've actually been sort of wondering how to carry this forward, having already kind of summed up a lot with, just everything that throughout all the playlists and the tarot readings, and I wasn't really sure how to carry this forward, but perhaps there will be a sequel. I'll take my own advice and just sort of let things transpire as they want to, and see what happens, see where it takes me, and perhaps there will be a sort of a sequel kind of thing to the Odyssey. So I hope that has been helpful for you, the different playlists, and you've enjoyed that while I've been away, I guess. It's been a while. I've been a little bit burnt out, to be honest, but I wanted to say thank you for those that have been so kind and supportive and generous and just helpful. Those are the kinds of people that, really keep me going, wanting to keep doing these sorts of readings. And I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you. You guys are awesome. Love you. It's great. And for you, I have a little standing ovation at the end of this video, so be sure to check that out just to say thank you. I guess we should just get started, and the sun's coming up soon, and see what happens. As always, use your own logic, intuition, discernment when listening to these messages and taking in the advice. Be open to timing, as what hasn't happened yet will probably seem unfamiliar or may not apply to you yet, so stay open-minded to what's passing, coming to be, and timing's different for everyone, pace is different for everyone, so just stay open-minded to the context as well, and take these messages out of context, see how they might apply to you with whatever it is you're working on, wondering about, needing clarity on, or just here to listen to. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me. Let's get started. I thought maybe just start with maybe I'll bookend it. I don't know. Just start with some romance oracle cards. Start with love. There are other things that I was wanting to say in this intro that I completely, a little tired. We'll probably talk about throughout the reading. Let's see. Let's see what universe, source, higher selves, energies of love want to tell us for, and I'm not really going to put a time limit on this or any of the readings going forward, because I kind of feel like you will hear these messages when you're meant to, and like I said, timing is different for everyone, so just whenever you read this, whenever you hear these messages, whenever you come across this video, I think is when you're meant to these messages. So, separation, time apart from your partners on the horizon. So, horizon, new horizons. Go. Yeah, maybe just taking a little bit of a break. Separation, stepping back from whatever it is you're wondering about, needing clarity on, or thinking about, just sort of taking a step back, gaining some perspective, different outlook, separating yourself from the situation. Maybe just rest and relaxation, doing some things that you love to do, and rejuvenating yourself, I guess, so that you can come back and be your best, in your partnership or relationship, whatever it is that you're doing, wondering about, dating, life, whatever it is. Let's see. Soulmate is on the bottom. Yes, this is your soulmate, if you're wondering. Let's see, what else? New love. A new person has stirred your romantic feelings. I think this came up for the last reading that I did, love reading that I did. So, new love, staying open to new possibilities. Maybe I'll come back to these. Give your relationship a chance. Work on your partnership. Tiffany Amber, thanks. I'll come back to these once we've gotten more into the reading. Let's see. I found the cutest little deck cards. It's the just regular Rider-Waite version. Look how cute they are. They're so little. They're like smaller than my hand. They're kind of hard to shuffle, so maybe I'll just use the regular deck. Okay. Let's see. It's a foundation card for, and again, I hope that these will just be sparks for you, jumping off points. Maybe they'll bring you somewhere new, or Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Discs. She just keeps popping up for every reading, it seems like. This is your aura, this is your environment, maybe spending some time in nature, appreciating what you have, enjoying your environment. This could be an earth sign, so some earth energy coming through, some very productive, proactive, grounded energy. It could be an earth sign, Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo, or just someone embodying that sort of grounded approach towards life, towards things. This has to do with your life, your tangible reality. I also just thought of the Magician and bunny rabbits you see around parks and things like that, little animal totems, paying attention to your thoughts, and when you notice things like that come across your path, maybe as little signs or clues that, again, paying attention to whatever it is that was on your mind or you were just thinking about. Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Earth, finding your little heaven on earth, your little paradise, whatever that is for you, or wherever that is for you, or whoever that is for you. Her little veil really stands out to me. It actually kind of reminds me of Beyonce and that photo with her and her twins. It's holding something dear, holding something close to you, something that you really admire. It's being focused and present, and what can you do? What do you need to do in order to be more focused, more present today, going forward? Comfortable, relaxed. Just be a person or the energy. I feel like she's kind of quiet too, but productive. She knows what she needs to do. She doesn't waste time. She doesn't bother with the unnecessary. She's very grounded, sensual, feels her way through things, feels her environment more through the senses, though, less on the emotional side would be more the Queen of Cups, but understands how her environment makes her feel. So being open to that, being sensitive to your environment, how different places, different people, different locations make you feel. Queen of Wands. So being creative and energetic, even if it's just within your mind, getting the wheels turning, getting your mind fired up. What do you need to do today to get your mind fired up? Maybe it's playing some music, something that just sort of makes you, I almost want to say feel a little bit competitive. Not competitive is the wrong word, but just ready to start, ready to, for me, I used to scroll through Instagram and be like, oh my gosh, everyone's doing all these things, and I need to kind of lit the fire under me, to get up and start working and start the day. Maybe even making a list, before you go to bed at night, of things that you want to accomplish the next day. Sometimes even when you have a lot of things going on, you wake up in the morning, especially if you work for yourself or something like that, like I do, currently I'm looking for a job, but yeah, it's sometimes you wake up and you kind of just in that early morning, forget all the things that you have to get done, and having a list or something like that reminds you, lights the fire under your ass to get up and get moving, doing all those little things you can do the night before, timing the coffee pot to start, and just to make the morning nice and enjoyable. But the Queen of Wands, again, could be another fire sign also, or again, you're just embodying this sort of creative energy. You're wanting to get creative. You're wanting to get your hands involved, get into something, get into a brand new project. Maybe that's what the new love is talking about. I feel like she also enjoys her environment, but she also, it's more so going from this, maybe, being in your environment. She has her little flower here, took it with her, and she's now has a brand new idea of what to do with that. That environment inspired her to create something new, to build upon that, maybe to inspire others. Always look at things both ways too, because reversed, she can be a little bit self-centered, a little bit self-involved, fiery energy fuels itself, so it can be that way. Just embodying the positive traits of each sign, characteristic, being conscious and aware of those types of things. And if it is a fire sign, it could be Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries. And, always check your moon, your rising, your sun sign, obviously, and other things are important, like Venus. I know there's something going on with Venus and Neptune, maybe Jupiter. I'm not an astrologer, so maybe look into that more. But those transits can sometimes affect how you feel in different areas of your life, especially if you have a stellium or a large amount of planets clustered in one area of your life. Things that are transiting those houses can oftentimes amplify or bring out, different facets of yourself more so. So just being aware of what's going on around you, again, your environment, things that are passing and coming to be, and how they might be affecting others. So people may be feeling very much like getting into nature, enjoying, summer months too. Leo, it is happy birthday, Leo. It is your season coming up, or Cancer, Leo. So summer months, just being outside and enjoying things. I also think of, two queens. It could be two women, two that are very maybe friends or work colleagues, or she's looking at her and she's kind of focused on this other thing. So maybe working with others, combining forces, someone who's very creative, someone who's very good at putting those ideas into motion and to make something more tangible out of them. Working together, I feel like they'd be pretty unstoppable. Queen of Wands. I've actually been pretty interested in looking into my family history more so recently, because I have pretty vague idea. I mean, like from a letter that my great aunt wrote, like talking about my family on one side, and that's about it. Some names and things like that. A few details, and they all have like really cool names, all very old school, like German, like Leopold and Hermione, and just really Maximilian, like really cool old names. I wish I could learn more about them. And it kind of occurred to me that the help that I feel like I receive from universe is often, it has a very familial vibe to it, and I've always felt very kind of protected, again, through my mother's line, my grandmother and great-grandmother, and lately I've been sort of just experimenting, seeing if I were to reach out in that sense towards ancestors, what would come up, as far as the playlist, putting them on shuffle, and every time I do that, a Lana Del Rey song comes up, which is interesting, or The Moon. And so I'm like, well, maybe my great grandmother appreciates their music. She was an opera singer in Berlin, the beginning of the 1900s, I think, or late 18. Not exactly sure the date, but when I was in Berlin, I went looking for the different opera houses and went to some performances, just to try to experience what maybe it was like then. Some fun stories from that, but some just interesting things have been coming up. Been trying to make sense of them. But anyways, maybe it's just like looking into family history too, and like finding inspiration not just from where you come from specifically, but where your ancestors come from, and like a homeland or something. This also makes me think of like taking your vitamins. I don't know if that's important to anyone. One of my favorite names is my great-grandfather's name is Hugo, found out, and This might be interesting to someone born September 12th. Vitamins. I've been thinking a lot about like Valley of the Dolls too, as it's just been from things that I've been seeing, picking up on, just maybe colors or just that movie inspiration-wise. Pills. Music festivals, like how parts of the movie are set in upstate New York, but also in California and Broadway too. And actually, speaking of Lana Del Rey, she'd make a perfect Barbara Perkins. That was her name, right? Should do like a. Maybe I'll put some links for that movie below as well. Maybe people will find inspiration from that, or something else. But think of like all those colorful pills and this is funny. Queen of Swords. So we're making our way through all the different suits right now. This is an air sign, maybe. This is saying what you want to say, maybe. So, or like I said, an air sign, Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius. Or just someone who's, in this deck, she's not as like, in this deck I think of her more so as like someone who's a little bit older, who's had a lot of experience, who's very straightforward and cuts to the chase, and just very outspoken sometimes too, but tactful. In other decks, she's just very like, I think of her more so as like cunning and strategic and like fair, and also like all these sort of like just very interesting. Someone who uses their mind a lot, someone who's quick on their feet, someone who has a lot to maybe say, but they, make sure that they get their point across. Maybe you're trying to make a point. But I just noticed the clouds on her cape, these capes. Cloud prints and green. So again, just using your mind and being very just noticed the bird. I was deciding whether or not I wanted to I woke up this morning, went outside, and two little starlings flew right in front of me and landed in the flower beds right in front of me, and kind of took it as a sign that I should send out some messages. I don't know, again, just maybe looking for signs and listening. I feel like she's a good listener. She can talk a lot, but she's a good listener. She will hear you. She's understanding because she has been through a lot. She's not the kind of person who just kind of is like, what they say they mean. She says she's gone through a lot. She's been through a lot because, she's understands, because it's all very, not sure what I'm trying to say exactly, but she's really been through it, you know what I mean? And she's internalized those lessons, and sometimes I think of it as like a teacher too, or just someone who's like science too. Reversed again is not being cold. It's not being like holding back in a sense. It's making sure that you use your best speech, your best this one's the vocabulary, but being, I think, maybe creative with how you speak also, and what you have to work with. A lot of feminine energy too, but this is general, so this can apply to guy or girl. Just keep that in mind. What was I saying? I think something about the Valley of the Dolls. Yeah, that would make a really cool inspiration for like a video or something like that. Maybe especially like her Lana Del Rey's like recent Summer Bummer. There's so many good new songs that have come out, and there's so many amazing artists, musicians, artists that, like I said, maybe I'll have to do a sequel to The World, recreate the world, because there's so much more I could have incorporated, and would really love to continue to expand on a lot of these concepts. But again, just kind of see, maybe I'll do it with the I Ching. I don't know. But it is fascinating to me that so much has come through in these readings that I couldn't have planned. That's how I know that. I mean, nothing here it's not a magic trick. None of these kind of coincidental happenings or funny little things that happen throughout the reading are they're not made up. As much as I like to turn things into some sort of artistic expression, a narrative, a musical narrative, it's all pretty much on the spot. Nothing's really too planned in that sense, and so that is, what the art as experience is. It's learning then from, reviewing these videos and picking up on different messages that came through that I wasn't as aware of while I was in the midst of it, and expanding on that. And I think it's always about finding ways to expand on that and to communicate. I mean, communication being just a huge part of that. How can you find new ways to communicate with people? How can you look at something in a different way? Say it in a different way. Just keep going, but I think of science with her too. Like, I just want to say like a science teacher, or like, just really notice the clouds. And I know I mentioned clouds in my last reading. I was trying to explain what I was seeing in my mind, but what I thought would be even cooler is like like clear balloons that have, like in number 4 of the Odyssey, like the different colorful smoke swirling within them. I mean, probably something better than balloons, but I just wish I could like take what's in my mind and put it into this, screen, like exactly, like tell you exactly what what I see in my mind's eye. Again, that's the reason for a lot of these music videos too, is visual references and metaphors, either within the playlist, the Odyssey, or any of the suit playlists, or the links that I put below. So if you have time, check those out. See if they bring you somewhere new, or you can find some more signs or clues or inspiration in the lyrics, visuals, the clothing, the fashion, set design, hair, makeup, locations, lyrics, song titles, anything, So, let's see, what else do you need to know for, so this is the 9 of Pentacles. I hope that people checked out the video that I have for the 9 of Pentacles after the last reading, and if you haven't, you might want to go back and do that and understand a little bit further what I meant by these videos and this entire narrative being a bit meta or never-ending story. Like, I'll put links again for things below. But this is lifestyle, and this is luxury, and this is just, again, enjoying your environment, the grapes and the fruitfulness and the growth, and a vineyard, or just relaxation and leisure. Usually pretty feminine energy, I think of, just having that sort of, I almost want to say aristocratic aloofness or something. It's 9 though, like an end of a cycle, end of something. 9s are always the end of a cycle. So it's just, though, enjoying what you've accumulated to, enjoying the things that you have around you, enjoying your home, your environment, your estate, things like that, things of that nature. Again, the bird here, listening to nature, good weather. Think of like California vineyards, which just makes me think of Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan and that vineyard that she lives on, one of the twins. Cowl reminds me of a dress that I draped, actually, that has cowl sleeves like that, but they were sort of twisted. Actually looked a lot like that pantsuit kind of thing that Rihanna's wearing in number 17. It's kind of like a beach cover-up kind of thing, but black and chiffon. Anyways, maybe this is just I just want to say admiring something too. What makes you admire something? What are the traits or the characteristics that make you admire a person or an environment, or can you recreate that somehow in whatever it is you're doing or creating by incorporating those characteristics? But yeah, usually some sort of really nice environment. That video is actually funny too, because if you didn't, unless you're in Aquarius, you probably didn't pick up on this, but throughout that video I had mentioned something about a white truck passing by and my window, and in the very beginning you can see a white truck. Kind of reminded me of the Truman Show. So again, that sort of meta, never-ending story kind of play. I also think of actress with this, an actress on stage, like just being very almost like Shakespearean kind of, or singer. And I think I was mentioning my grandmother, or my great-grandmother, who was an opera singer. When I think of her, I kind of think of that she would probably be a lot like Adele in that video. Yeah, like some sort of opera too. That's set design, and maybe getting over the fence again. I mentioned that in the last video, with this hedge behind her. 9 of Earth, so it could be another Earth sign, or just Earth energy. 9th house, which is ruled by Jupiter. There we go. Jupiter. The Ace of Rods, or the equivalent is Zeus in Greek mythology. And 9th house has to do with your beliefs, your belief system, religion, education, higher learning, expansion on all levels of, expanding your mind, expanding on your beliefs, expanding even travel-wise. It can talk about long-distance travel, and institution, that kind of thing. Religious beliefs, lucky. It's very, Jupiter is a very lucky planet. So, and it rules Sagittarius, co-rules Pisces with Neptune. And I think it is Venus and Neptune that are like squaring or something like that that's going on right now. So maybe pay attention to that. Neptune having to do with like your dreams, and Venus, love, dreaming of love. Kind of think of, just kind of dreaming of love. But this popped out, right, as I said, Jupiter, or talking about the ninth house. So, and in the last reading, we got this card as well, the Ace of Rods in the Art of Life Tarot, which for that card, it's the Ancient of Days. So, Zeus, Ancient of Days, Jupiter. Ace, though, it's the very beginning. It's beginning with fire, beginning that spark, that jumping off point, that brand new beginning, that brand new idea that inspires you, that has energy behind it, that that everything that comes after that is going to have a good, it's going to be fruitful, because you start out with something that has a lot of potential for new growth and expansion and energy. It can talk about a brand new belief, brand new idea, brand new understanding. Sometimes it can be like a green light, like, so go ahead. Like maybe you're trying to travel or something like that, that would bring in some new inspiration. But really, this is just like universe, divine inspiration, handing you that brand new idea that propels something, that moves you forward, that gets you excited, gets you out of bed, gets you moving, gets you wanting to learn more, to find out more, to discover more. What is it for you that can do that? I talked about conductivity and how I compared water conductivity to ideas, and how an idea can amplify and propel itself, if it's good, move itself forward. But I basically compared it to what I had already been working on, which was learning about the alchemical cycle and the 8 different stages in the alchemical cycle, that all within each stage has its own characteristics and its own traits and imagery and symbolism. And a lot of that is very visual. I was able to look at a lot of the trends that were going on at the time and see which ones sort of related to which stage or cycle within the alchemical cycle. And, what designers were doing, what macro trends were, what was going on in culture and politics, what people were talking about, what was kind of, I was sort of picking up on, people, was becoming a trend, and sort of created my own sort of understanding of shifts in time based on the alchemical cycle, on trends, and what I was doing as well, finding those overlaps, that common ground, and then sort of tracked it for about a year and a half to see what ideas spurred on change, what became bigger trends, what transitioned into different markets, into different industries, what grew, what expanded. Again, Jupiter expansion, and so that you could kind of better understand the essence of an idea and what is that X factor and what will, going forward, be those ideas to really focus on or pursue, because you know that it's the base starting growth point that has the ability to expand, to reach different markets, to grow, to transcend, again, shifts in time, shifts in macro trends, shifts in popular culture and beliefs, in what's popular, what's going on, what we're going to be seeing. Just to have a good understanding of time and cycles, and again, comparing it and relating it to water, conductivity, electricity, velocity, the speed at which those ideas grew also, based on how many people were picking up on them, and yeah, things like that. So, and it's just really, really interesting to sort of calculate time in that sense, to calculate ideas in that sense, to track ideas, to track shifts, basically, in time, to understand time in that sense. And I just want to say, like, just getting a really good understanding on what it is that makes something move forward, makes others move forward. You know, not dumbing your ideas down, not dumbing yourself down to make things more understandable for others, because if you change, people have to change. They have to evolve to keep up with you. So being that change, being ahead, creating the change yourself, bringing in the change once you understand what it is that moves things forward for the highest and greatest good of all. And just, yeah, understanding, you know, staying at that center point, then you can see what's passing, coming to be. And I actually, I think I also sort of mentioned this, let's see, in one of my readings, that to me, you know, we live in a spiral galaxy, and a lot of times people think of time as cyclical, and it is to some degree, but I think the overlap between time and space has to do with the spiral nature of things. So time also spiraling back on itself. So in that sense, you sometimes end up lapping people too. Once you get into the right groove and the right cycle, you can kind of pick and choose where you jump in at. So if you imagine this as time spiraling forward, creating this sort of tunnel, if we're staying at the center so that you can see what's passing, coming to be, theoretically, you could just move through that tunnel back and forth throughout time, right? So yeah, it's funny, actually, sometimes and I've mentioned this before as well, that it's through my screen, through the veil that surrounds us, but in the most tangible sense, the screen right in front of you. And by the way, these are, I do study things, I look into them more once I've already come up with the idea, come about the idea naturally through my own experience, but otherwise I like to, experience something so I know it for myself, and come to understand it in my own way. So the ideas and things I talk about here, and unless I mention that I got it from somewhere, it is my own idea. So just to be clear on that. And anyways, I have mentioned that the screen is the veil, and it's right in front of your face. And sometimes I go online and, just scrolling through Instagram, Facebook, some things like that, and I'll see posts from months ahead of time, which I don't always pick up on at the time because, I've said this too, that unless someone's around to tell me that it's like some, minor holiday, I think yesterday or something was like National Emoji Day. I would not have any clue, because I don't even really go on Instagram that much anymore, and or Facebook or any social media. So unless someone's around to kind of make sure that I know about these things, I just kind of go off what I see online or something, and this has happened a few times where I'm just scrolling through. I'm like, oh, I had no idea it was that holiday. Because I'm seeing posts for people, not just one person, multiple people, talking about that holiday, only to realize later that that holiday is not for months, and then I go back and it's they're gone. um, so yeah, it's easy to start to feel like you're going crazy sometimes, and just trying to understand what it is that you're picking up on exactly. So again, that separation card, sometimes you just need to detach and unplug and get into nature and just, ground yourself, feel what's real, what you know to be real in this reality. Let's see. Anything else from this stack? But yeah, I mean, it's like you're able to do all those things, then I don't know, it's just a good way to be on top of trends, markets, everything. I mean, I think that beyond the Odyssey being a possible looks at, or at least my own sort of idea of how timelines have perhaps progressed throughout history, but also its own divination system and musical narrative, personal stories throughout, and pretty much marketing gold too, with as much inspiration and connections as there are. So you can just understand how much benefit there is from staying at that center, defining your center, to understanding shifts and cycles in time, to coming to your own understandings of things. King of Swords. So, again, this is the counterpart to the Queen of Swords, a Libra, a Aquarius, or a Gemini, or just someone who, again, is very, sometimes a little stern, but very, just has the truth, speaks the truth, understands things quickly, understands things easily, has an opinion, voices their opinion, is usually pretty fair, especially I think of, very smart, again, too, usually, actually, like I was saying, any of the videos by Lana Del Rey or the moon comes up whenever I feel like great-grandmother, and this or John Legend videos come up whenever great-grandfather, which is interesting. So, but anyways, this is just someone who, again, has this like little sort of truth and is fair and balanced, and I mean, reversed could be pretty cutthroat. Someone who doesn't have all the facts, that just acts without thinking, that it's like their way or their highway, like doesn't really take others' opinions into consideration, or isn't very tactful, so making sure that you really try to connect all the dots, to stay balanced, to voice your opinion, but to be fair and to be honest. Anything else? A lot of people involved right now. The Fool just flew out. So this is, again, taking a leap of faith, jumping into something. Maybe not with complete blind trust, having an idea of what it is maybe you want to see happen, but really just opening your arms, allowing help in, allowing for good things to come to you, to trust again in your, and where the path leads. It's taking a risk. It's being at that center point, the 0 point, the Fool. It's the universal mind. Maybe that's what it is. Universal mind. Jupiter, Ancient of Days. Spirit, I think also like the Trinity too. And Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, being representative of that Holy Trinity, or Spirit, the mind, elevating the mind to its fullest potential, taking in new information, seeking out new information, seeing where that initial spark leads you, being open to change, being open to newness and freshness. Going on the Fool's journey, being the Fool, you know? Tapping into that universal mind, the Akashic records, or whatever you want to call it, if you can. I mean, some people can easily. I mean, I don't even really try, you know, just it's a constant communication kind of thing if I choose. It's getting to that point somehow through your own process, through learning more, following your interests, following what what is interesting to you, what calls you, what you want to learn more about. What is it that you are just kind of, even if it's something you never thought you'd study or look into, or what is it that just kind of you're just kind of itching to know more. You want to understand it further. Following those leads, whatever they may be, because it's going to be different for everyone, and just letting those things guide, almost like a map, letting those guide you from the next thing to the next thing, and learning more, learning about yourself, learning about your interests, learning about how your mind works, how you best take in information, how you best find inspiration, what exactly it is for you individually, like personally, that inspires you, that makes you want to follow those leads, learn more, begin something, doing whatever you can do in order to motivate yourself in that way. Mountain tops, and feeling on top of the world, maybe feeling like you made it, feeling like you climbed all the way up this mountain and you're here, and you're just, now you can see the sun fully, sun's up. You can breathe in some fresh air. You can see things clearly. You can see in the light of day. It's taking what you need also. If you are traveling, so we talk a lot about travel, and we did mention Jupiter. So if you are traveling somewhere, maybe to get inspiration, like on a little trip or something, road trip, it's taking what you need. He only has his little bag here, his little satchel. Just the necessities, again, kind of like the alchemical cycle, burning away what's unnecessary, just finding the essence of things. Again, 0, the Fool, the essence, universal mind, the connection, the fire, the energy. Stars on the bottom. Maybe going somewhere new, maybe you just open your eyes. If you could just find a new environment, something that is completely unfamiliar, that brings in, inspiration, something, but just changing things up in that way. going a different route on your way to work, you know, just being open to whatever you come across. Is there anything else from this deck? There's something else I wanted to say. What was it? Maybe it'll come to me. Wow, a lot of people in the Knight of Pentacles. This is your Virgo card. So this is kind of taking a slow approach too. But, you know, getting there. Once you get there, you know you will have covered all your bases, that everything has been done completely, you know, to its fullest potential. Steady approach. I mean, it could be another earth sign. I just usually associate, you know, mutable signs with the Knights because it is travel. So again, traveling, commute to work. So sometimes I think of, you got it, you know, or bringing something to someone, bringing a brand new idea, a brand new start to someone. Inviting someone to go on a trip with you or something like that. Or maybe on their own. Both are, you know, it doesn't have to even be a, because these kind of came up together. It could be a mental trip, you know, mind travel in a sense. Just traveling in your mind, seeing where one idea leads, using your imagination, using things around you, taking them in, or just inviting someone to go on the, you know, encouraging them to. Sometimes I think of encouragement with this, because Virgos are very helpful energy, and encouraging someone to take a trip, to go on the Fool's Journey. Hero's Journey, or Virgo. It's like the tip of my also could be learning by doing, which is based on John Dewey's philosophy, and it's also the school that I went to, the University of Chicago Laboratory Schools. That was their philosophy on education, and it's, in my opinion, how every child should be educated. This could be my opinion. Yeah, definitely together, in my opinion. Learning by doing, and really being able to take in information in that way. So it gets lodged into your subconscious, your long-term memory. It's not just memorizing facts. But John Dewey's philosophy on learning by doing is something I've been sort of, because he also talked about art as experience, which is what we're doing here. And it's not just looking at something that's really embodying the thing that you're studying, the subject, the artistic method, I mean, you could talk about like method acting, but it's more like taking on these sorts of subjects, these ideas, these beliefs, even if it's just for a short period of time, in order to fully understand them through an experience. Learning from those experiences, reflecting on them, growing from them. And that is something that I've been really pushing for. Because again, I think it's how every child, I feel like, should be educated in that way. I mean, lab schools, it's one of the best schools in the world. And you can just really see that in the students that they produce, but and the people they produce out of that school. So I just saw that there was some sort of apprentice program that was started, learning by doing. I think that's what I'm not sure now. But yeah, which is really exciting to come across, because it's my hope that that is a method of education that will be instilled in all educational programs throughout the country. Those methods, those, so seeing results, even if it didn't, come about through me. I feel like even you just putting those intentions out there, pushing for something that you want to see happen in some way, shape, or form, capacity, the ability to, again, move ideas forward, connectivity, to transcend into others' lives. That is, somehow it's still a result of your actions. For anyone, so we are all connected through our thoughts and our wavelengths, different wavelengths, and through our intentions and what we put out into the world. So again, it's really just comes down to us and our responsibility. I just thought of sustainable responsibility too, which just made me think of Stella McCartney. I love one of my biggest inspirations throughout design school. First time around, I have 2 degrees. Cannot get enough education. That's that Sagittarius in me. But our responsibility, personal responsibility. Again, I hope that people, maybe I'll move on to the next deck, kind of saw where I was coming from with my little Eve's perspective video. We should be able to put ourselves in the shoes and the eyes and the lens of others, no matter how grandiose or small it may seem, so we can better understand each other, better understand new perspectives. And, one perspective of that, Eve, the OA, original angel, last judgment angel in the card 20, God's ally, enemy, just a different way of looking at all of it. Sometimes I feel like when there are, sometimes I feel like it's a test too. It's a test for us to see if we can transcend, move beyond our own self-imposed belief systems, religious systems, ideas. One of those being the idea, not to say that evil deeds don't exist, but evil and the devil. Because then there is, not to make this into another religious thing, but, but when we have those ideas in mind, it's easy to, I guess, put it on something else. Evil exists because of this idea of a devil, or, it takes away from our own responsibility. To me, it's all a spectrum. That which is loving and life-giving and uplifting and essentially moves the world, evolves the world forward in a positive way, goes on the side of good, and anything that doesn't, that deters people, that brings people down, that hurts or causes harm to the world, to the environment, to others, errs on the side of evil. But we're all responsible for our own actions. It's not. You can't have it both ways. You can't say that you can't believe in free will and free choice, and then say, why did God let these things happen? you can't have your cake and eat it too. Do you want to be a robot, or do you want to have free choice, consciousness? It's all spectrum, and it's, again, having some sort of balance. The universe is made up of balance and opposites, so it'll always find a way to rectify those things, and that's where you kind of get into the idea of karma, but yeah, it's about taking responsibility for our own actions. I mean, we can talk about utopias and paradises, and think it's very ideal, but really the only thing that's stopping that is us. And our own actions are being, self-centered, selfish, focused on money, on potentially technology. Not all technology is progress. Being concerned with things of that nature all of what hinder that progress. And it's not to blame others or whatnot, or God or religion. We made those up, pretty much. So I think it's going to be the biggest test of humanity to see if we can move beyond that and understand that, to move beyond what we've always been taught, and see with new eyes. The universe is infinite, so of course there's infinite possibilities, and it's just looking at things from all different angles and knowing that we can never really know, but that we can affect our own reality, our own world, through our actions, through our thoughts, through how we treat others, right? So it's a spectrum, and I kind of feel like that's what, the rainbows are there to remind us of, and it's on the eye of the beholder. We create our realities, so it's not, blaming that, not to say that, not to say that horrible things don't happen and that there are things out of our control, but what I hope that these videos and things have shown, and how the playlist also, timelines have been sort of following and predicting events, that there is help out there that wants to see good and wants to see us progress and evolve and grow and protect us too. And it's about learning to listen to the warnings of things that, understanding our intuition, understanding our own personal signs of things that make sense to us, so that we can act accordingly, and also prevent things that may happen that aren't of our own doing, of our own control. And I hope that this has been an example that it is possible, and that there are good forces out there wanting us to thrive. So, and again, going back to anything that pushes the world forward in a positive way is thriving, is benefiting humanity, is good. So, and everything else, well, like I said before, karma's a bitch. So, and also pretty literal. So you break someone's heart, expect that to come back to you in some way. Or, Queen of Swords again. Anyway, so be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Lao Tzu, Allegory of Good Government, by Ambrogio Lorenzetti, 1338 to 40, Fazio, Publico, Siena, Italy. Your crown of, again, just sort of hanging out, enjoying your environment, Speaking the truth, speaking what's on your mind, being tactful, understanding cause and effect, taking responsibility for your actions, I guess being open to everyone forming their own opinions, their own beliefs, through their own experiences, understanding that it's, that it's more important for someone to know why they believe something than just to believe it. Let's see. Ten of Wands, patience and fortitude, conquer all things. Ralph Waldo Emerson. This is The Alchemist by Matthias van Helmont, 17th century. I can't read right now. Chemical Heritage Foundation Museum, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's just like pouring over books, pouring over information, taking it all in. He seems like to be a little bit discombobulated with all the stuff going on around him, but time, patience, fortitude, understanding the value of knowledge connecting us. Ten of Wands, this is laying things down, laying things to rest, laying your ideas, putting things down, moving on to the next stage. So yeah, again, going back to that, my video, Eve's perspective, I hope people kind of understood that, yeah, it is the yin and yang, is essentially what I was trying to show, especially with the Shaggy video. Reconciliation, the love being the beginning, the fire, the passion, between opposites, space and time, and the merging of the two, and that force propelling things forward. That potentially, it's not so much God and the devil, good and evil, again, spectrum, but it's, the relationship between all things and the balance. But that's not to say I don't believe in God, but it's just different ways of looking at things and different ways of understanding them, because I don't think that any of us can really ever understand things. So this is really getting to the books. Reading some new things, poring over the details, The Alchemist, looking into, the alchemical cycle, looking beyond the fact that, some people are like, that's a little bit weird to me. What can you learn from it, How does it apply to now? How does it apply to what you're doing now? To the current state of things? How, what can you take from that? What can you learn from it? You don't have to believe everything you read. Obviously, that's your choice, So don't be afraid to look into things. Just know that you can always choose to believe them or not, to learn something from them or not, to incorporate that information. He just looks like he's very much just enthralled in what he's doing and in the information he's taking on. And so, let's see if there's anything else. There's a lot of people. 2 Queens of Swords. So, again, it's jumping into something full-heartedly. The Knight of Wands, again, real voyage of discovery lies not in finding new landscapes, but in having new eyes. Marcel Proust, Marine by Edward Villard, 1906. King of Swords, again, so a lot of mental activity. The great virtue is the real courage to face facts and live beyond them. D.H. Lawrence. Portrait of John James Howell. Unknown English artist, 1820s. medals of honor and badges, and it reminds me of like, well, I did mention William II in my Odyssey playlist, and how in my own imagination land, that's, coming through reincarnation into Basquiat, and that being a spirit guide for me. I, it's so fun to think about things like in that way, because then there's no limits. But yeah, and that just goes again back to my like family. I don't know why, but sometimes when you're just, sometimes things become real in a way. I was just looking up more information on him, and I didn't know that he came to power at age 29, which I think is funny because I have Kendrick Lamar playing him in the video, in the playlist, and in the Nine of Swords DNA, he says that at 29 I've done so well in my estate or something, and I chose that video because he says level number 9, and it's also the Nine of Swords is about being up all night with your thoughts and some anxiety and just kind of having way too much on your mind, and just not having a restful, peaceful night's sleep, sometimes even just being up all night, regardless. So I thought that was funny. Again, with all the videos, they're chosen for very specific things, the code words that I've spoken about, the symbolism, imagery, and timelines. But other than that, the lyrics, imagery, all that, beyond my parameters were kind of, again, up for grabs, and in a way I kind of leave that up to fate, and so I feel like messages come through in that way. Something about DNA, maybe you'd be interested in like testing your DNA and seeing where you come from. That actually keeps coming up for me. So I don't know, this just reminds me of his military costume, military uniform, and all the badges, and like the oh, I didn't notice that before. There's a triangle, the crown, the center, and the Freemason like symbol, the compass on his badges. So using your inner compass, your inner guidance, to move you forward. I know these kind of things sound a little bit cliche or vague, but it's different for everyone. So, and this is the Magician. I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul. William Henley. I love this painting. Opus 217. Against the enamel of background, rhythmic with beats and angles, tones and tints. Portrait of Felix Fionin, 1890 by Paul Signac, 1890 Museum of Modern Art, New York. I just love that idea of, translating, which is actually part of a lot of what I did with the plays, was translating music into visuals, rhythmic with beats and angles, tones and tints, just how finding the corresponding elements, corresponding colors to a sound. I matched up notes with Pantone colors and compared violin strings and there's 4 to, the 4 vocal chords and the 4 hand shapes of cued speech, and cued speech also having to do with how you speak, and the mouth, the pronunciation of words and syllables and where those sounds come from, so again connect to the vocal cords, and there's 4 different hand shapes, and then like 8 different, so you can see how it all works together. And all those different combinations would add up to different color Pantone chart. And although I didn't have a lot of choice in the colors of the data chart, because that system would need to be developed further, and actually I wanted to take this whole thing further into developing a device from ear device sound, but no, it still hasn't done yet, so even if they were to copy me now, I still would have thought of it years ahead of time. Anyways, yeah, so color, sound, connection in that sense. Maybe basing an entire collection based on notes and sounds. And I get fashion, but translate that into whatever you are working on. What are the representations of different notes for you, different chords for you? In whatever creative medium that you work with. It has some sort of flower here too. There's different patterns and angles, tones, and tints. The Magician, though, this is again using your mind, using your all your mental powers, powers of the air, power of the mind, expanding your mind through making distinctions, even the simplest of distinctions between notes, pitches, tones, tints. Every time you make those distinctions, you're exercising your mind. That is the basis of perceptual learning, and that is also, besides learning by doing and artist experience, perceptual learning is what I incorporated into all of those data plays, which helps you tap into your subconscious and your long-term memory through those choices, those distinctions. And it's the same thing as when you are learning like the alphabet, and you're making a distinction between a W and a V, and just those visual distinctions as well. You're exercising your mind in a way that after we learn these sort of groupings, these basics, we don't really tap into that same those same methods as often. So again, it's about always bringing in new information. Every time you learn a new program, every time you learn a new instrument, you're having to make these subtle distinctions in some way, shape, or form. You're expanding your mind. That is how you tap into that universal mind somehow. And I'll be the first to say it, that is how you do it. And it's not overnight, and that's, again, the point of those data plays, because you are making distinctions between the colors and the movement and the rhythm and the location and how fast things move, and if it's corresponding to this music that's influencing your mood, which again, emotion taps into all those things. So it's just finding different ways. It doesn't have to be those plays, and anything that you are just to, again, get the wheels in motion and to light up that part of your mind. And some would say that's tapping into the Akashic records, or, the universal mind, where all this information and knowledge is. Some, again, can do it better than others, but it also helps to have a very strong connection to the divine, to the ethers, to the other realms. In some way, I feel like I had, it was almost like, and that's what it is like to kind of wake up in a way, on one hand, but that was sort of put upon me, and I don't know how to explain exactly, but yeah, I also think of, sorry, my mind's kind of going all over the place right now, because there's just been so many connections coming through. recently, again, I put the playlist on shuffle and I asked universe, like, what is it that I need to know today? What is important? And I blindly picked a rune. I'll put the link for that below. It was for myself, but if you're interested, and you can always look at any of the runes, I picked a rune blindly as I pressed shuffle on one of the playlists. I like to do these little experiments to see if they work. And again, that DNA song came up, and I picked up the rune of Othala, which is about inheritance, and he speaks about that in the song, and then this card came up. So inheriting, and that rune talks about inheriting powers based on noble deeds. How can you find a good outlet for bettering humanity, others, just doing something nice for other people through what it is that you're doing. Maybe that will bring you somewhere new. Queen of Pentacles on the bottom. Oh my gosh. Riches are not from abundance of worldly goods, but from a contented mind. Mohammed, portrait of a woman in a golden dress, a golden fleece or something, painted in collaboration with Ernst Klimt. I do have Klimt deck here somewhere. Maybe I'll pull from that. Whoa. Just kind of fell out. So that's the Leda. Or head of a woman with tousled hair. Leda. I did just wake up, so hopefully that won't fall over. Whoa, really close. I just picked this up. Again, 10 of Wands. I mean, I wasn't going to even use that deck. This was just laying on top of it. I grabbed it by accident. So, and this is from the Decameron deck. 10 of Wands. So again, really putting something, laying down your burdens, feeling like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Knowing what it would take to help others progress, and feeling burdened by that, and unable to maybe, at least in my own experience, unable to exactly explain, not having the terminology, maybe the background, like the science or the technology background, in order to make what I know would work into, take it beyond what I can personally do into the next stage. So that involves a lot of studying. That's, just to even try to express what it is that you're thinking to some degree, which is where a lot of my time went over the last few years. But anyways, maybe I'll pull from this deck. This is the Jack of Spades. So I think that's like the Knight of Discs. Gertha Falsovani. I'm not going to be able to pronounce anything. Let's see if there's a card from this deck. That would be helpful. Bring further clarity, inspiration, highest and greatest good. 4 Spades. D Music. D Music. 1895. Olaf Leinwand. It's funny, and he's playing a violin or an instrument, stringed instrument. So it's nice to have this kind of help, I guess. Or confirmation of what it is I'm speaking about from the universe. So music, classical music, the violin, and thinking man's instrument, the distinctions again, because when you're playing the violin, you are, you're tuning your ear, you are listening to the rest of the orchestra, you are listening to yourself, making that distinction, making distinctions between your finger positions, adjusting them slightly, tuning them. That's why violin is one of the hardest instruments to play, because it is so much based on developing a good ear, you're also reading music and you're listening at the same time and you're moving your arm. You're basically doing everything. Movement especially. And when you're able to light up all those areas of your mind by whatever it is that you're doing, so looking for activities, things that light up all those different areas of your mind, music, reading, listening, adjustment, tuning, distinctions, movement. When you're able to do all those things at once, that is how you get into, again, that flow state. Finding activities that do that, and that is why, again, I wanted to create something that, for those that that aren't able to play the violin or take it in school or something like that, create something that does has the same results somehow. So I mean, I have my own ideas of how to do that, but basically that's the basis of it, and you all are witness to that now. So anyone would like to develop that idea further, please come talk to me. But 4, again, is your stability, your foundation, your basis for it all is music, classical music, which is, when I had my crash, I heard classical music and a high-pitched ringing sound. And that goes back to Norse mythology and the beginning of the universe. I put a link in the Odyssey videos that talk about some Norse mythology that is the talked about how big wave, and the universe coming from different notes, and again, water conductivity. So if you can then relate travel of ideas and thoughts and wavelengths through water conductivity, I think of water and space too, the anti-gravity sort of, not anti-gravity, but weightlessness, the movement through water, space being some sort of equivalent to water, and space travel in that sense, through translating water conductivity. I mean, I don't know. I just, again, I come to these ideas and theories through my own sort of train of thought, and so, and I have no background in, I never even took physics, but anything like that, but it's all seems pretty simple in a way. Again, that tunnel and midpoints and meeting halfway, and unless you have a spacecraft literally at the exact point of overlap between two planetary energies, at the exact time that they overlap, that second, I don't think anyone knows whether or not those, like my theory I talked about in my Stargate video, would know or be able to dispute that that's not how you would enter a little vortex. But anyways, so music, classical music, that being some sort of key understanding of, no pun intended, strings, string theory. I played it into all these like different word associations, maybe learning a new instrument, maybe that would bring you somewhere new. But I also think of the craftsmanship that goes into creating a stringed instrument. The red violin, I just thought of acoustics, amplifying sound through acoustics, So let's see. Jack of Clubs. This is Sagittarius. Die Hoffnung to 1907. Gold and platinum. Oh gosh. But yeah, a quilt or something like that. Again, it's that kind of cape thing. Robes, kind of like this, which is a robe, but I kind of wear it out with like, cutoffs and tank tops, and it's just comfortable. Quilting, weaving, stitching fabric of time together, stitching stitches in time, weaving things together, weaving narratives together, weaving connections together, finding the inspiration in connections, finding the newness in the connections, finding new pathways in the connections. So obviously I can't take credit for any of the music videos. They're all beautiful. I'm glad that no one opposed me using them in these playlists. But the connections are what bring it all together and tell the stories, the larger story, the bigger picture. So art is connection, connective thought. One big connective play. Yeah. So let's see. Maybe I will pull from Winged Enchantment. Gosh, this is getting long. Okay, try to sum this up somehow pretty quickly. Owl. I haven't gotten that before. Woodpecker. So I also think of carving. Maybe I'll pull. Think of owl vision. Again, seeing the bigger picture. But to sum up all of this and the overall message for those out there. Sparrow. Yeah, I haven't gotten this one actually before, so let's do that. 32. I am Sparrow, the enlightenment of self-worth. I am pride and simplicity and honor in the commonplace. I am the one standing vigilant. I am power in numbers and the contentment of being a part of the larger whole. Much of human endeavor thrives on originality, of standing out boldly from the crowd. My wisdom encourages the acknowledgement of the role of community and family to share your personal destiny. You cannot always fly solo, but you cannot neglect the threads that bind it all together. You are approaching a time that will require group effort and need to blend in while fostering your imprint in the world. It is a mighty gift to flit about the world unseen, and a greater gift to know that you have flocks behind you if you need them. You need to pull back, regroup, and find the common ground. You are engaging humanity. You are part of something great. You are open. You are Sparrow. So again, kind of summing up that separation, but also seeing the bigger picture and the threads that bind. And we have air, we pretty much have all the elements here, but a lot of air, a lot of thought, foundation, beginning of some brand new start idea that will lead to hopefully some sort of comfort, understanding, relaxation of the mind, music, nature, a lot of nature too. I did mention my great-grandmother. I'm talking about heritage. My great-grandmother being a singer. Two Queen of Swords, two King of Swords. Oh, and two Queen of Earths. When that happens, I mean, it's just kind of like, what are the odds from two different decks of, how many cards are in it? 72 cards in each deck. Maybe 78, I don't even know. Yeah, so two Knight of Discs and a Knight of two 10 of Wands too, which is 20. This is 32. Roses, rose garden. I think of my grandmother's rose garden and watering, gardening with her when I was little. Getting out and nature gardening makes me think of the gardener's daughter in the Art of Life Tarot, which is the Ten of Cups. Yeah. All these birds, messages, spirit, birds of a feather. Being a part of the greater whole, understanding your role. Actress, actor, singer. This entire connective play. Now I just really want to know what the underlying meaning is here, because I always find out more meanings after I finish the reading, and I always wish I had said something. The universal mind, through music, art, entertainment, connection. What do I have there in the Four of Spades? Home. I did mention homeland, home. Travel. Traveling far from home, traveling from home, traveling back home, going home. Where's home for you? What makes you feel at home, makes you feel comfortable. I was thinking of Eve, or the first woman, being the first at something. What can you do that makes you the first at something? Even if, you come to it through your own means and it's somewhere out there, you still came to that thought or that conclusion through your own understanding, through your own train of thought, so that still makes you the first. First to see it in that way. Two Virgos. I also kind of think of my dad, the King of Swords, who, in the DNA video, things coming full circle, because, what did that for? He used to work with drug rehabilitation patients and gangs in the inner city of Chicago in the 70s when he was studying, and was actually the only one that they let into the Latin Kings. He's also very psychic. He would tell them, don't go to that other gang meeting, someone's going to get shot. And they're oh, Ron, yeah, and then someone would get shot, and so they let him into their inner circle. They trusted him a lot, and even still to this day, he goes to jails, prisons, works with young guys that are, misdemeanor kind of things, but still maybe miss out on some education, getting out. They have a record now. It's harder to get a job and set up even a lease an apartment. If you can't have a job, lease an apartment, and those kinds of things. So just get them through his own connections, help them start their lives over. And kind of interesting how it's come full circle, how one of the people that he worked with in the 70s, it's actually his son that he helped as he was getting out of jail, and brought him back into the community and helped him get an apartment, get furniture, find a job, these things. And this guy's stood up and said how he's changed his life. Again, that's just so crazy to me. What are the odds of 30, 40 years later, how we're just sometimes we're on some sort of divine path, and we all have it if we look for it, if we put ourselves out there for finding ways to help, if we're, putting good intentions out there. Let's see, 24. It also makes me think of, because I did mention lab school and gangs, and just this one, because I was on my dance troupe, and it was not a normal school. Like, they would never infringe upon our personal freedom or right to, like, dance to, like, the Busta Rhymes Break Your Neck song through our dance troupe, even if, like, and just as opposing gangs. I'll put that song below, too. I still remember that. Yeah. But that was just the way of the school. I mean, we all grew up together, and it was such a diverse, liberal atmosphere that by the time you, been there forever, you just don't even see race anymore. You kind of embrace all these different cultures. You're just raised to be like that, I guess, through your friendships, through your education, through those around you that are all, I feel like, just such a good environment. Everyone just kind of thrived off each other, motivated each other, and it was just, everyone wanted to learn. Everyone, I did switch schools halfway through high school because I had this, like, Gilmore Girls idea of, like, what high school could be, and I wanted to experience what, like, if going to a football game was. But even going to another private school, it was in the suburbs, and it was just totally different. People were like, why are you in AP classes? I'm like, don't you want to go to college? Like, just totally different mindset. People just didn't have that same sort of drive. Not to say that all of them, but it was just, lab school is its own place. And very independent, I feel like, and people very goal-oriented, very, take the initiative. Very, surrounded by, like, prodigies. It was just very good school to be at, to make you understand that there are, there's so much more out there, so much culture to take in, so much to learn, to never stop learning. 24. I am Owl, the silence of the night. I am the arrival of mysterious things. I am the revealer of hidden tracks beneath the snow and ghosts within the psyche. I am the unsettling of darkness. I am the goodness, or the goddess of death. At times you cannot see me, but I permeate all worlds. My hunting grounds are the soul. You are a skilled listener. You are a well-seasoned traveler of realities. I have been watching your movements and tracking your steps. You are beginning to see beyond the veil and crack the illusions of night, but you must be vigilant, and watch your step in the blackness. Take a quiet road and guard your inner world with a determined purpose. There is a vast trove of power that will guide you as well as you soar into the cosmos. Before you boast of your new winged ally, realize that I am no bringer of easy roads. My path is lonely and requires retreat into the forest of the mind. This is where all awareness begins and where all experience comes home to fulfill its purpose. You are sober night vision. You are a master of the shadows. You are at ease in solitude. You are Owl. You have to be willing to be by yourself, to think your own thoughts, to come to your own conclusions. To stand apart from the crowd also. To look into the mysteries. To take time for yourself. To explore, like, thought experiments. To wonder what else is out there, what else could be. To think beyond what you've been taught, what you know, to listen. Master of the shadows. To not have fear. Fear, again, being on the end of the spectrum, that is not good. To not make decisions out of fear, to make decisions that, there's just nothing to fear. I, kind of had an epiphany the other night, realized that, I'm really just not scared of anything once I realized that so much of how protected and, chosen in a way, I feel like, to understand certain things, to move myself and potentially others forward, to look at things in new ways, to understand how to easily tap into that flow state, that, the divine realms. one card from the Manera, and then this is the Priest, Taurus. Yeah, so seeing beyond this different decks, but the High Priest is pretty much like, or the Hierophant is, again, institutions, or again, I think of Jupiter, like ninth house, like religious institutions, educational institutions, anything of that nature, and someone who translates the Word of God towards others, the cosmos to others, being chosen by the cosmos, being having enlightenment, maybe going to the church, getting married, maybe studying, again, different religions, different cultures, different, but seeing beyond, making up your own mind, what makes sense to you, what makes you feel something, what makes you, helps you understand something, going in that direction. 5, Knight of Air. Gemini. There's so many people. He looks like he's wearing some sort of feathered, again, cloak kind of thing, just at least the scalloped edges, and so again, shapes, tints, tones, working with that, maybe replacing what you would normally use as something to express a certain aesthetic in order to, or replacing it with a different aesthetic. Substitution. Basically, everything can be understood through substitution. Yeah, and that's basically how I came to understand most things that I talk about, is through substitution, through understanding something unfamiliar, through something that is familiar. Creating an experience out of it, not just taking a picture or something that, expressing yourself clearly, your ideas clearly. Also think of like fog and so many clouds in the background here, just side notes. It makes me think of like, climate and atmosphere, again, environmental kind of concerns. It makes me think of Ralph Simmons and how in his recent menswear show they were wearing some dust masks. Love you, Ralph. Magic Stream 18. Everything is connected through the universal flow of consciousness. Finding those connections, finding how you connect. Every experience you have seems to have its own life story, with a beginning, a middle, eventually an end. However, there is danger in seeing events as separate from one another, since in fact they are all part of continuity and a greater evolution. Like an ever-flowing magic stream, your experiences filter through the whole world, one leading into another, informing and influencing still more. Inspiration, invention, and revelations rarely come to just one person. Collective awareness is a shared storehouse of potential. When you remember you're part of the fluid continuity of life, become a channel for great inspiration. Becoming a channel. Allow the magic to flow through you and carry your dreams into reality. Your success will benefit many. I mean, we do sometimes come up with inventions and things like that at the same time, but I also think, like, even still, every person is so unique that there's no way that one person could come to the same conclusions as another exactly. In a reverse position, the Magic Stream card represents swimming against the current. There are times when effort and sheer willpower result in victory and celebration, but this isn't one of them. You can't force inspiration. You can't manufacture creativity, lest you borrow too heavily from others' ideas. Neither can you make someone love you or orchestrate a orchestrate. Here we go. Orchestrate a series of events that might place you in a more favorable position. Now is the time to drop the trying and jump. There you go. Jump into the stream and float. Immerse yourself in the experience of being fully present with whatever is true for the moment. You'll never step in the same river twice anyways. Again, I think of like the flow of water and water continuity and understanding time through that. To just be present. And 18, I think of the moon too. And there's a flamingo. Birds of feather. They're all spirit. They're all, magic stream. Some sort of magic stream in the clouds. To be present, to understand the bigger picture, to step back, to retreat. So, anyways, I hope that this was helpful and you enjoyed the reading, and maybe I'll I didn't even get to the love, and this is almost 2 hours, so maybe I'll do another video, but anyways, I hope that you enjoyed it. Thanks for liking, sharing, subscribing, and being here with me. Thanks. Bye.